The Ford Crown Victoria is one of those cars that's instantly recognizable anywhere you go. And for good reason too. Ford made almost 1 million of these cars between 1998 and 2011. The police version of the Crown Vic has been exported to nearly every corner of the world. South America, Asia, Russia, Europe, all over the place. These things are tried and true, durable, robust, hardy, body-on-frame cars that last and keep on giving and giving. There was a time I would go to auctions and I would find 6, 7, 8, 10 of these cars lined up in a row, freshly decommissioned, waiting to start their new lease on life. And I was buying those cars for cheap, $1,500, $1,850, easily under $2,000 for every single one of them. About 2 years ago, the number of Crown Vics showing up at these surplus auctions dried up, disappeared. I only see 1 or 2 maybe per year show up, and those cars are beat up, worn out. This car, however, came from a different auction. Instead of a state surplus auction, which is usually where I'm buying cars, this one came from my county, Newcastle County, and let me show you around. State colors here in Delaware are blue and gold, which certainly explains all the North Sea blues and the occasional sonic pearls I would come across at the state surplus auctions here. I always knew about the county auction, Newcastle County here, but I've always avoided the cars simply because they're white. And I much prefer something more interesting like the blues and the occasional burgundies I would come across at the state surplus auctions. With the number of Crown Vics disappearing from these surplus auctions, I gave a look over at Gov Deals, which is where this car came from. Newcastle County had 5 of these sitting on the lot waiting to be sold. This one was the nicest of the 5 and the lowest miles, the cleanest condition. The opening bid on this car was $2,500. Nobody was bidding on it. Not a single person until I stepped in. And I waited until the last half hour or so of the auction. I threw a bid in there. I was the only bidder. Nobody else jumped in, and I don't know why. This car is a beauty. It's well optioned, at least for a police interceptor. And this car was used by the paramedics here in the county. The first medical responder here in Delaware for medical services usually comes from the fire departments, not from the county. However, the county does have some paramedics, but the paramedic cars that they use doesn't get nearly the use, the abuse, or the mileage that, say, a police car gets. Did you hear the way the door sounds? One of my most favorite sounds on these cars. Love how the doors close. On the auction listing, this car was listed at unit 6500. That could have been the unit number of the car when it was in service. It is on every corner, every panel, everywhere you look, 6500. I've been stopped a few times from folks wondering if I'm selling this thing for $6,500. And I have no idea what the Crown Vic market is today. I know it's way higher than what it was. Car prices in general are way higher, maybe 50% higher from a year ago. And I'm sure the value of Crown Vics have followed suit as well. The problem is finding good, clean Crown Vics out there is getting harder and harder. I mean, the number of cars are just drying up. There's always turds, and you can always find a piece of crap Crown Vic out there for a little money, but finding the nice ones, man, that's the challenge. Under the hood, 4.6 liter, 250 horsepower V8. A special airbox goes on the police models, different air fuel mapping, a 200 amp alternator. This engine is built for durability, reliability, and to be long lasting, not necessarily horsepower. In fact, the Mustang of this era had a little more horsepower, something like 260, and I've always wondered why Ford never used that engine in these cars. In the trunk, nothing, nada, zilch. No spare tire, no jack, no lug wrench, no emergency equipment back here, zero, nothing. I always thought it was weird that spare tire on all these cars have been removed, and every single Crown Vic that I ever bought had a missing spare tire. Sometimes there'll be a lug wrench or a jack, but most of the time there's nothing in there, just like this car. And in order to get that police interceptor designation by Ford, it has to have a level of survivability in the event of a rear-end collision at 70 miles per hour. And that level of survivability is dependent upon having that spare tire bolted in place, adding a layer of cushion. Now, I guess when you take that tire out, obviously you get more space and more room for storage. However, you also lose that level of protection that's so much needed in so many of these rear-end collisions on these cars. When I bought these cars from the state, they've always ordered the lowest cost, no frills version of the Crown Vic, not a single option. This one, because maybe it's from the paramedics, maybe from the county, this one has a few options here. It has the X5, which is the 327 limited slip differential. Ford called the traction lock or track lock. Cruise control on the steering wheel. We have traction control, which is unusual. I've got an extra trunk button down here, and I've got this upgraded radio too. Frankly, it doesn't sound any different than the basic stock standard radio. On the floor, there is a mount for the laptop, and underneath, we're just missing the ashtray. There is a set of power ports over here though. I guess that's where all the radio and the equipment plugged into. Up above we got a ticket light. There's 2 buttons on this one. There's one right here that does not work. That's for the white light. There's a second button on the other side back here that turns on the red. And right behind that is a set of dome lights. Man, and that rear differential being called traction lock, man, that just makes me smile. I always dig the era of time in the 50s, basically, when the marketing guys came up with all kinds of cool and crazy and funky names for really just mundane features of a car. Traction lock, for instance, Chevy's rear differential, they called it Posi Traction Drive or Posi Track or Posi. Chrysler called theirs Sure Grip, and Studebaker, they had twin track control for their rear differential. I feel like there's an entire video just waiting to be made just talking about all the cool and funky and crazy names that these marketing guys came up with during that time. All right, so why don't we go for a drive? I tell you what, you never know what you're going to get when you go to these auctions. At the state, whenever I see an auction car, every single one of them is listed as questionable condition. The auction though at the county that I bought this car from is incredible. I've never seen as detailed a report on a car as I've gotten from the county here. They listed every single aspect of this car: the paint, the headlights, the suspension, the condition of the engine, transmission, the steering wheel, the cosmetics. They went through every single aspect of this car. And you could go into buying one of those cars at this auction with the utmost confidence that you're getting exactly what's presented. I feel like I could go there without inspecting the car and know exactly what I'm going to get when I walk into that lot and pick up the car after bidding and winning it. And not only was the cars accurately described and presented, the whole auction experience was different with Gov Deals and with buying through the county. For instance, when I buy through the state, there's an inspection period. There's a 4-hour period. You come and take a look at all the cars. With the county, I had to schedule an inspection for one specific car. I had to schedule that time with the service manager, basically. And I mean, this guy was grumpy. He was irritable. He was short-tempered. He was short on time. And he didn't have very much tolerance for my questions. But he was also courteous and responsible and attentive and trying to service my needs and my questions about the car while juggling everybody else's phone calls and questions as well. I told him about the state and that all the cars are presented at the same time and everyone's given a 4-hour window of time to take a look at the cars and make their determination. He said he knew about that. He wasn't interested in doing it. He's just going to keep on doing it his way. Seemed like a waste of time to me, but that was his prerogative. Also, with Gov Deals, the payment method is so simple. They make it as easy as possible. Within minutes of winning the auction for this car, I got an email. I clicked the link of that email from Gov Deals. It sends me to a payment page. I can pay through PayPal. I can pay through a credit card. They gave me so many different options to pay. It was so simple. No running to the bank to get a certified check. No running doing the wire transfers that US Gov Biz wants. It was seamless, simple, and quick. It was as automated as you could make the process. Within minutes of making my PayPal payment for this car, I got an email receipt from Gov Deals saying that it's been paid and go ahead and schedule my time to pick up the car. It was literally within minutes of winning the auction, making the payment, and getting my receipt as proof of payment and scheduling my pickup time. Now, this is a nice car, but this isn't my car. I bought this for a fella in Europe. His name is Mark. He's in Germany. He asked for my help in trying to find a nice Crown Vic here in Delaware that he could buy, I could help him find and pick out, and then ship it out to him in Germany. And that's exactly what's going on. I bought this car for $2,500. It was a 5% buyer's premium on another $125. On top of that, there was a battery that I needed to add, had a dead battery. So for about $80 or so for a battery, that's all this car needed, other than a good scrubbing. A few things I've forgotten about with these cars is just how comfortable this seat is. I mean, it's really soft and cushy and comfortable. It's not like any of the seats that you get in today's cars where it's real hard and firm. This is a soft, velvety, comfortable seat. I enjoy this car. The ride is isolated and smooth. I've never ever been in a Crown Vic that drives this nice. The body, the steering, the shifter, it all feels like it's from a brand new car. And that just might be because it's not a beat-on patrol car. This is from the paramedics driving more gently, kinder. This car feels almost new in the functions and how it controls and steers and brakes and drives and shifts. This is a nice car. You know, the experience of buying this car through the county and through Gov Deals was so good. I definitely want to get back there, take a look and see what else they have, see if the bidding is non-existent like it was on this car, and you know, and just see if I can get more good cars at great prices and all that a great experience too. Man, it's nice to be back in the Crown Vic, even if it's just for a short while. This is a nice car. It's a pleasant drive and it's a fun experience. I'm going to have to make another video or two on it. At least I'm going to try before this car gets picked up on Monday. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the auction experience as well. And as always, I'll just see you on the next video.